Welcome to the Solid Verbal. The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildenbrandt. Joining me, as always, over there in sunny, summery New York City, my man, Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how are you?
I'm a little bit nervous.
Really?
I am a little bit nervous to do, this is not our first, this is not our seventh, this is not probably our 12th high concept show. But it may be the most I've prepared for a non-season, non-preview, non-interesting or big guest interview show that maybe we've ever done.
Wow,
because
really?
This is the Thai. What are we calling this? I don't know what it'll be called in the eventual title. Final Fantasy or A Journey Through Thailand, whatever it is. This, I really wanted to come up with something that would reflect well on the amount of time that you put into your burning questions. So, deep exhale.
Okay.
And I'm very excited.
Well, I hope I didn't cause too much homework. That was
No.
certainly not the intention. But as you know, when this great podcast was bequeathed to us by the late, great Gertrude S. Verbal, it was intended as theater of the mind, not just
Correct.
another reflexive download. We talk about this all the time on GChat. It's like our motto.
Mm-hmm.
Today's episode is intended to be fully immersive.
Yes.
What I did earlier this week, and I swear to you, it didn't start out like this. It just sort of happened. I was going, then it kind of built on itself. I have essentially come up with a full character arc for you, Dan Rubenstein. I want folks at home listening on the edge of their seat, being part of the story.
This is more of an RPG.
Right.
This
Yeah,
is more of
that's
a
true.
Rubenstein role-playing game, an RPG. And this is what you've put together is pretty exquisite. And I won't say that I put together. I didn't study for a long amount of time.
Okay, good.
But I sat there for a long amount of time, really trying to give it as much thought as possible. And hopefully that comes across.
When
This
I
is
shared
ridiculous.
this with you at like 10:30 on Monday night,
Yeah.
you sent me an immediate message saying, okay, you really went for this, didn't you? You needed to take out some frustration on the Google Doc. And indeed I did. Hello, welcome back to the show. We're going to get rolling here in a few minutes. I'm Ty, he's Dan. We're at solidverbal@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Solid Verbal College Football Podcast wherever you can find your podcasts, wherever you enjoy downloading the show. You can also find us out there on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course there is a subreddit, a very popular subreddit.
Oh, love it.
Reddit.com/r/solidverbal. I don't know if Peter from the sub has announced yet who his guest of honor is going to be. He's been teasing an AMA, but there's a pretty good one coming. I'll let him do the official unveiling, but excited to hear that there is so much activity on the subreddit, even in the middle part of May.
Yeah, it's a lot of administrative news around college football. It's like, this is the effect of the transfer portal. This Kansas State linebacker is transferring to Nebraska, Lincoln. I guess that's just Nebraska. But it's a lot of administrative stuff, transfers, NCAA. Well, we might do this or that. And so we really wanted to go to a different space with, I think, 100 days until the season. I think that's the actual number now.
And we went to that space a bit last week, last week, when you asked me 8 college football burning questions and 4 non-college football questions.
Correct.
So kind of along the same lines as that, I've got a variety of questions for you. It's just that they're all interconnected. So if you are ready, Dan, we can get rolling with this.
Let's begin this quest.
There it is, Dan.
Get to that place.
It's a scandal for the ages, Dan. Ooh. Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullins, your boy, vanishes into the aughts at night. He's gone to a non-extradition country because friend of the podcast, Dan Wetzel, has published an investigative report detailing rampant financial improprieties at Oregon. And in a stunning and desperate move, you have now been installed, you, Dan Rubenstein, as the new athletic director. Now,
Makes
according,
sense.
I'm going to kill this music here for a second. According to recent data
Why?
that was collected from the 2017 season, Oregon spent around $28 million on its football program. Now, as the new athletic director, Mr. Rubenstein,
Yeah.
your directive in the face of horrible controversy is to reduce spending by 50%. It's a PR move. They're trying to restore confidence. We get it.
Okay.
Where can you save money without reversing all the great gains the Oregon program has made over the last decade?
So you're asking basically, how do we still get great flavor, but also less filling?
That's right.
And this is not a matter of how do we generate more revenue. It's a matter of how do we cut costs.
It's a matter of how do we stop the bleeding from a PR standpoint,
right. That we're spending too much money on football
without stopping the heart.
Right. Okay. First thing I'm doing is no more Autzen Stadium. We are moving games to Hayward Field. Do you know what Hayward Field is?
Wow.
We're going to 15th and Agate.
Autzen's a bit of a competitive advantage, though.
It's a competitive advantage, but costs a lot of money. I mean, it's only 60,000 strong-ish, and it feels louder than that, but operational costs for that kind of scale, it's still significant. So we're moving to Hayward Field, which does house the Olympic trials, the track and field Olympic trials.
That's right, sure. Yeah,
so the football team way yonder, when they were the Webfoots, used to play at Hayward Field before Autzen Stadium was built. So there's a track, there's a giant infield, you have two big stands, and I believe it's either in the process of being remodeled or redone for another Olympic trial. So football's not paying for that. So I don't know what the capacity is, but we're going to 15th and Agate again.
Okay.
That's where Hayward Field is.
All right.
I want it to be like almost an MLS experience where it's the hottest ticket in town all of a sudden because not as many people get in. So it's going to be loud. I think we really steer into the idea of we get a bunch of food around, local vendors, and we'll talk about more of that stuff later, but really make it a unique experience, and it's just a cost-cutting thing. Obviously, we're going to make less money because fewer people are going, fewer season ticket holders, whatever. No real luxury suites like Autzen has, but we're cutting those costs. Number 2, we're done with buyouts. Okay. We're done with buyouts for coaches that we fire because we're really going to be good at pushing coaches out and make it seem like they want to go out. Shorter deals, and even if we keep a coach like Mario Cristobal, who's by no means the most expensive in the country, not even close, but we're going to have to start rotating in young up-and-comers as assistants that are willing to coach, without a buyout if they're no good. So that's number 2, because that costs Oregon, I think, something like $8-9 million for Mark Helfrich, and there's a lot of money spent on these buyouts. Number 3, this one's a big one for me. Oregon's not necessarily in the middle of a huge talent area, so they have to travel a lot to Texas, to Southern California, to Florida, Missouri, the Midwest, whatever. We're eliminating recruiting west of the Rockies. We're hitting the Mountain West grad transfer market hard every year. And then here's my very evil and kind of secretive plan. We're going to let Cal, San Diego State, Boise State, Nevada, Fresno State, let them find the diamonds in the rough. And then near the end of the recruiting period, poach.
Wow.
Poach.
So you're going all turkey vulture with this.
I'm going total vulture. We're not spending all that money on those private planes, on all of those flights. We're still going to recruit hard, but it's going to be near the end, and you're going to have to be very arrogant. I'm going to have to make the coaches be very arrogant about, like, of course you'd rather come to Oregon than Nevada or Fresno State. Come on up.
So I believe what you've outlined
we're cutting costs. Yeah.
Is the Steve Jobs technology model, where you wait for other people to invent it, then once it's successful, claim it as your own and make it more successful.
Right. You don't want to play the Mountain West. You want to play the Pac-12. Well, this assumes the Pac-12 has a certain amount of health, but yes.
Wow.
That's my plan.
That is a fully formed
buyouts,
idea there.
Recruiting, travel, and stadium operational costs, all cut.
No recruiting west or east of the Rockies.
Excuse me, east of the Rockies.
East of the Rockies.
I misspoke. East of the Rockies. We got to stay real local and just poach.
I got to be honest, that might be enough to actually get you hired somewhere.
It's pretty good, right?
Not bad. You've put some thought into this. I'm impressed.
We're still spending money on all of the things that you need to maintain a top flight-ish program. So that's the facilities, that's the dietary stuff, that's all the social media and marketing teams. So that all still exists.
You need that stuff. And there's something to moving to a more quaint venue. Not to use Penn State basketball as this shining example, but they used to play basketball at Rec Hall, which is a much, much, much smaller facility on the west end of campus. And
I've been to Cameron Indoor, and that's a gym. That's not an arena. That's a gym.
There's a lot out there if you want to go read the internet about, hey, we should move back to Rec Hall for good. It might help. All right.
Baseball has gone smaller with their stadiums, right?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Some of the new stadiums. Pittsburgh Stadium is a delightful, I think it's in the 30s or 20s, whatever it is. It's small and amazing. And you got a lot of Timbers fans in Portland used to that sort of energy. I'm going for that.
All right, Dan. Well, your successful gig at Oregon has now earned you a badge of honor. Someone who thinks outside the box. You're fiscally responsible. And suddenly, you're a hot commodity among many smaller budget programs, maybe in real life too, after some folks hear this podcast. And despite your great love for the Pacific Northwest, you have been courted back to your Southern California roots, and you've been invited to interview at none other than San Diego State. Do you like San Diego State, by the way?
I like San Diego fine. Haven't really spent time on the San Diego State campus. The stadium's kind of a dump, but it's fine. Yeah.
During the interview, university president, let's say it's Phillip Rivers. Why not?
Okay.
He's been there long enough. He's got a crazy idea. He doesn't think any group of 5 schools should schedule any Power 5 teams until the college football playoff is a little bit more inclusive.
He's got that group of 5 attitude going back to his days at NC State.
How do you respond to his idea of a boycott? Do you think that's something that would work?
Well, he's my boss, right?
He is your boss, but not yet.
I got to make it happen.
You haven't taken the job yet. This is during the interview.
But I can move from Eugene to San Diego, and that feels like a positive, right?
Correct.
So
I think that's accurate.
I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take that San Diego cash, and I'm going to say, here's what we do. We're a Mountain West team. We work out deals with the American, the AAC. We work out deals with BYU, Notre Dame, certainly not a Power 5 school. So technically, we're not scheduling a Power 5 program. Maybe the MAC. So these are like the 4 places that are probably easiest to get to. Travel costs, whatever. Just pretty convenient. Fly to Chicago for Notre Dame. We play lots of Fridays. So real top matchups. And we sprinkle it throughout the season. It's not just like 3 or 4 in September. I think it's an 8-game season in the Mountain West conference season. So then we sprinkle it throughout the year. We play some of our bigger matchups in September to get that attention, while maybe some other conferences playing small matchups, week 2, week 3, whatever. Then I'm going with the poach attitude of just being ruthless. I'm hiring private eyes to tail committee members and school presidents. I'm building up a dirt file. You think Phillip Rivers is above this? Absolutely not. There's a reason he got to be the president of San Diego State or whatever you said he was. I shake them down. Also, it's not necessarily, oh gosh, these people are in the midst of scandals, whatever. I'm going to hire a head of marketing at both, I don't know if it's San Diego State or Mountain West, or just on behalf of the group of 5. I'm going to hire a new head of marketing. He or she has ties to Hollywood.
Okay.
And they're going to work out a sweetheart, like a TV or whatever, overall advertising campaign. Maybe it's free, a campaign. And in return, so like we're advertising movies and all some TV shows and stuff, and we're giving them just a crazy good deal. In return, not the main versions, but the offshoot versions of Marvel movies or Star Wars movies, Pixar movies. So not your main Star Wars, but your offshoot story about whoever. You know the Star Wars universe more than I do. They have those spin-off types, right? It's a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
We open just every year a new 1 or 2 or 3 of those on college football playoff weekend.
Wow.
You get people out of their houses, Ty, because there's a limited number of films that people want to see opening weekend. But you get like Avengers Babies or whatever they're going to do as a prequel. you get Cars 5. And a lot of college football fans aren't going to have a choice because their kids are like, yeah, we got to see Cars 5, flying cars with a Z. And so that's what we're counter-programming all the time. And we're also shaking them all down.
Extortion is what I think
100%. You got to fight dirty. This is a dirty war.
By the time Phillip Rivers eventually becomes president of San Diego State,
how do you think he got to there? How do you think he got it?
He may be able to hire people in his own family because Phillip Rivers has built up a small army of offspring at this point.
Ty, I'm getting some breaking news if you want to play the sound. Phillip Rivers no longer plays in San Diego. The Chargers have been gone.
No!
But listen, he's leveraging his new LA and Hollywood connections. He misses San Diego, and that's how we all bring it together.
This is a college football show, isn't it?
It is indeed. I forget it all the time.
Damn. Thank you. Yeah. Would it work, though? Would the boycott work in 30 seconds or less? If you banded together, if you cut deals with the AAC, the Sun Belt, whoever, any group of five conference, and you decided that you would no longer schedule Power Fives because you were sick of unfair treatment, do you think that would hold enough leverage to actually influence change?
Counter-programming is rough. Basically, what you have to do is you have to get incredible players to San Diego State. You have to do what Ole Miss did, which is fine by me, allegedly. You have to pay an incredible amount of money to guys who would be going to USC, basically, to come to San Diego State.
All right. Well, by the way, Andy Staples writing on SI.com about some potential movement.
Yep.
To maybe allow players to be rewarded for their likeness, be paid for their likeness, to benefit somewhat off their likeness. That will certainly be a topic for debate and a topic for discussion as we move forward. But okay, Daniel, shall we move on in the next phase of your career? You have led the boycott.
Yes.
Of all the Power 5 schools, you have forced one Bill Hancock. But now you've been unceremoniously fired from San Diego State. Phillip Rivers had enough.
Got my own skeletons, Ty.
You got your own skeletons, all that extortion caught up with you.
Yep.
You're going to go down as a rebel, which is a good thing. We know how you like to stick it to the man. But just never again as an athletic director.
Yeah, blackballed.
But you still got that flair for working at the collegiate level.
Okay.
And you still got the sharp tongue. I think we're seeing it on this podcast. You've got that sharp tongue.
Oh, thank you.
You've also got a love for food.
Yeah.
And you've thought to yourself, what can I do to kind of combine these things? You have talked your way into becoming the director of concessions at Folsom Field.
Hell yeah.
In a place that you love, Boulder, Colorado. Mm-hmm. Your job now, you've again got this reputation for knowing how to manage the money. Mm-hmm. People look at what you did at Oregon. It was marvelous. Mm-hmm. You've got a bit of a history for being a rebel, although in some wrong ways we won't talk about. What Colorado wants you to do is go to Folsom Field, and they want you to reverse years of a downward trajectory on sales numbers and design a revolutionary food and drink menu that's creative, that's appealing, that's innovative, but also affordable, knowing that you're going to have college kids walking the corridors. What's your plan as director of concessions at Folsom Field?
So we're following the Falcons model. What is it? Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Arena, Field. Local vendors. The Sink is there. Snarf's is there. Been to both places. They were incredible. I don't know a lot about what has opened since I was last in Boulder and Denver. Cheap prices. But I don't think food alone is going to bring people inside the stadium. I think you need a big, fun, outside of the stadium tailgating food situation.
Like a beer garden kind of setup?
I'm saying you're in one of the beer capitals of America, as far as I know. Colorado, Denver, the Rockies.
Very good beer area. Very good craft
Maybe you
beer
have
area.
Coors sponsor this. Silver Bullet. Taste the Rockies. Is that what they say?
Sure.
You have that. You just have a world-class beer garden. You're grilling. You have giant Madden screens go. You just have this incredible experience before the game. And you're giving away, there's incredible giveaways at this grill party outside. You can play with your rec league flag football team or your kids' flag football teams. You can play on the field after the game, play a quarter. You have the PA announcer going. You make this really incredible, both family and beer-soaked experience that I think you also incorporate. I'm going to go back to MLS right now. I think it's easier said than done, but we're talking about, I think the Rapids are pretty popular. I think. I don't know. You're more of a soccer guy than I am. But you get the scarves going. You get the flags and the chants. And you let alcohol in Folsom Field if it's not there already. And people are singing. People are going crazy. But it's the good stuff. It's the good microbrews that are apparently good. I don't know. But I think you're leaning into MLS and beer. And letting people on the field.
What if you bring Ralphie into that beer garden area? Think that wouldn't be a hit?
Ralphie's a wild card.
Bit of a wild card. We saw that. Bit of a wild card, but
Ralphie's a wild card.
You think that wouldn't be a hit, though?
It could be. I think maybe some baby bison or buffaloes. I don't know exactly the etymology we're talking about, but I think you have a petting zoo situation, but you're talking more food and drink, and that's what I'm going with. I'm going giant state-of-the-art beer garden.
Local vendors, keep the prices down.
Correct.
I do like this.
Yeah. Would you go to a Colorado game, even if Colorado they were average, they were nothing special on the field, but you knew the experience would be full of food and beer, and you're running routes with East Coast Elliott on the field after?
I like the cut of your jib here because you're not only playing into the whole MLS model, you're playing also equally into the minor league baseball model.
Sure. Yeah, I don't want it to be cheesy though. I don't want it to be like disco night, Colorado, Utah. Right. I don't want that.
I don't think you have to.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of minor league stadiums around the country that are able to attract the local audience.
Sure.
And get them to come to the game just for the experience and less so for the game.
Well, here's the other thing too. And the minor league thing aside, which I think is a fair point. If you have a game that, have you ever seen clips of like a Timbers game where they have the chainsaw?
Oh, yeah. It's good stuff.
You have something like that. You have guys wearing furry buffalo head hats, whatever. It's not just going to be the locals that are filling up the stadium. All of a sudden, I want to say George has been to Folsom the last decade or 15 years, whatever. You're going to have people traveling because it's such a different experience. You'll have, if it's a Penn State, Colorado game, you want the exact opposite of Beaver Stadium. If it's a Texas Tech, Colorado, you just want it to be so different out there. Like, I got to go there. I got to get some beer. I got to wear one of those giant buffalo hats. Like, you really need to lean into this is the capital of different in college football.
I think that also means the ticket prices have to be lower.
Ticket prices have to be lower. I don't know what they charge now at Colorado games, but
they most certainly have to be lower than whatever they're charging now to promote this kind of environment. But I like it again. It's creative. I like where your head's at here.
Yeah, thank you.
I have bad news, though.
Oh, no. Was I corrupt in Boulder as well?
One of your experimental recipes goes awry.
Yeah.
It sends you into a deep, deep slumber, Dan. You awaken a week later and discover that you've become a shapeshifter. You know what that is?
Somewhat.
It's like Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence's character in the X-Men. You can
sort of like the T-1000 a little.
You can instantaneously mimic the physical appearance,
Robert
the
Patrick.
voice, of any person with exquisite precision.
Yeah.
We know you've got a rebellious nature. We know you've got a love for college football.
Always.
You've been a very successful director of concessions now for many years, we can assume, at Folsom Field in Colorado.
I'm a 5-tool player.
Now it comes time to live a little dangerously.
Okay.
You can mimic...
Digging up dirt on middle-aged men wasn't enough?
You can mimic...
Private eyes?
You can become any coach, any player, any college football personality.
Okay.
Who would you most want to pose as and why?
Well, one, Paul Feinbaum, because I would just get to look in the mirror and be like, I am the most handsome man.
Of course.
Does Chris Fowler count as a personality?
I think so.
Seems to have a good life.
When I wrote this, I figured even money on you going Fowler, not just because of the football, but also because of the tennis angle, which I know you love.
I'm also like deeply immersed in the tennis world right now because of Sports Wars and Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, current arc. Lives in Miami, New York, only calls games, doesn't do game day anymore, travels the world, tennis majors, seems to have a good time doing it, Ty. It's a little too easy. Steve Spurrier enjoys his life as sort of an elder statesman, retired, is always at the beach. But
would you?
I don't want to be that, and I don't want to play golf all the time. That sounds terrible.
Want to pose as Tim Tebow?
No. He lives a very serious life. I don't want to play minor league baseball.
Okay, that was going to be my question, because Tebow pre-minor league baseball was almost a different entity than right now for the Mets.
I'd get to train with Rob Tebow, and that's a plus. I get to just start hitting things with an axe and call it training. Tom Herman's in Austin. General, pick of recruits in the area. Low expectations for breaking things, demolition ability, if you've seen the clip of him trying to hit a locker. Decent weather. That's important to me. So I think it's a decent enough life, but he's huge expectations. I think he's under a lot of pressure. Already shaved his head. I think my more active answer is probably Graham Harrell. Okay. You live in Southern California. There's not much, all the pressure's on Clay Helton, right? Sure. If he's even pretty good, people are like, well, you were doing your best with what you had, but you have a lot of talent still. Good group of receivers, quarterback with a pretty high ceiling, I think. Winnable conference right now. Helton's still getting the blame when things go wrong, even if it's kind of your fault.
Young enough.
You can tell Michael Crabtree stories. Right. Young. And I don't think whatever happens at USC, unless the offense is a total and abject disaster, you're probably coming out of it unscathed. You're probably still a hot commodity in the coordinator, if not group of 5 head coaching world, as like a young up and comer. So that would probably be my most accurate active answer.
A somewhat poorer man's Cliff Kingsbury is what you're saying.
Got paid to not play in the NFL. That's a dream.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I would love to be minor league Kingsbury.
Fair enough, Dan. Well, if you're Graham Harrell, if you're a successful version
Kingsbury
of Graham Harrell, no doubt you'll be wearing an Indochino suit.
Oh my gosh. No brainer.
Indochino, longtime friend of the Verbal. They make suits and shirts to your exact measurements for an unparalleled fit and comfort. Talk about a shapeshifter. Buddy, please. Guys love the wide selection of high-quality fabrics and colors, not to mention the option to personalize the details, including your lapel, lining pockets, your buttons. It's an easy process. You can visit a stylist at one of their 40 showrooms in North America and have them take your measurements, or you can measure at home and shop online at Indochino.com. Then you submit your measurements, you get your design choices in there, then you relax. They're going to professionally tailor the suit to your exact specification. This week, our listeners can get any premium Indochino suit for just $379 at Indochino.com when you enter SOLID at checkout. That's 50% off the regular price for a made-to-measure premium suit. Shipping is free. It is INDOCHINO.com. Your promo code is SOLID for any premium Indochino suit, just $379 with free shipping. An incredible deal, a premium made-to-measure suit. Once you go custom, you never go back.
Yeah, we still need to get ours in tandem.
We do.
And you've promised that you're going to get some gaiters on your feet to go with whatever suit you wanted, which I think is great. I think some gator slips. That does speak to you. You've talked about that for a while.
Congratulations, Dan. You're now in jail. You posed as Graham Harrell and one would assume Dennis Dodd one too many times.
Oh my God. I think that goes without saying.
Not many people know this. Punishable by 10 years in prison for posing as Dennis Dodd. However, during your trial, a crooked judge calls you back into his chambers, and he offers to set you free.
Hell yeah.
After the season.
Okay.
But only if you can successfully predict the result of all 12 of Texas A&M's games during the 2019 season, Dan.
Give me some more Texas A&M appropriate music. Wow. Okay, there we go. So what you're saying is a crooked judge is affiliated with Texas A&M.
I am drawing no conclusions. I'm just saying he happened to go there.
Could have chosen any team.
He just happens to be interested in Texas A&M. That's all.
Okay, so Texas A&M has an over-under of 7.5.
7.5
for wins this season.
Let me read through their schedule for you, okay, for the coming season.
Please.
Week 1, home versus Texas State.
Yep, 1-0.
Week 2, a big one, on the road, September the 7th at Clemson, defending national champ.
Let's call it 1-1. It was a rough secondary last year, and Trevor Lawrence might be the best quarterback in the country.
September the 14th, home against Lamar, the football team, not some dude named Lamar.
As far as you know, 2-1.
September 21st, at home against the Auburn Tigers.
Okay, this one's a little tricky. I like the promise and potential of Texas A&M's defensive line. They're replacing 2 or 3 starters, but they played the run, really well. Mike Elko's first season. I think the defense is going to improve. This is the first huge game. It's the first game against an FBS team, or not an FBS team, but a Power 5 team. Kyle Field, I think they get the win. I think they're now 3-1. New quarterback for Auburn, coming to a tough place to play.
All right. End of September, neutral Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
It's Arkansas. It's in Arlington. It's an interesting letdown look-ahead sandwich game because that Auburn win would be huge, and they've got Alabama at home on deck after a bye week.
Yeah, so you do have the bye week. So
bit of a getaway game here.
It's an open-faced.
That's right.
letdown look-ahead sandwich, which actually works really well. Arkansas game is always close. It's always a nail-biter. It's neutral fields, but I'm going to give it to them. Kellen Mond, there's just a lot more to like. There's a lot more talent, especially young talent. Arkansas, I still think, is a year away from being a little bit more competitive. So give me 4-1. I really do like what Jayshon Corbin stepping in for Travion Williams. I think he'll be in a rhythm by then, and he should gash the Hogs.
Bye week and then home against Alabama.
Okay, they lose that game.
Lose that game.
I know a couple of years ago, Kellen Mond was feisty against Bama. I just think Tua's going to eat the secondary alive again. So I am going to go with Alabama. So we're at 4-2?
We're at 4-2 in mid-October. Then we're on the road the 19th of October at Ole Miss.
Okay, Ole Miss. First-year coordinators on both sides of the ball. Talent level, not great. Not a huge, overpowering home field advantage. Give me the Aggies. Give me the Aggies comfortably. So 5-2?
5-2.
Yep.
26th of October at home against Mississippi State.
Yep. I think this is a bit of a trap. I think even with Mississippi State losing what they do up the middle of their defense, I still think talent-wise they're in a good place on both sides of the ball. I think at quarterback they're going to be solid, and the offense will be in a more of a rhythm through the air this season, whoever is under center. So I actually, on the road, give me State.
Wow.
5-3. Yep.
5-3.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get into November, home against UTSA.
Yeah, San Antonio Roadrunners. Yeah, give me the Aggies. They're feisty after losing at home to State. 6-3 heading into the South Carolina game, the cross divisional.
South Carolina, November the 16th, also at home.
Yeah. I think they take this one. I think they're in a rhythm after the UTSA game. So I have them at 7-3 at this point.
7-3.
Yeah, I'm too concerned about elements of this South Carolina defense that I think will be pretty good. It'll be improved on the ground, but I still think Texas A&M will be in a good place. A lot of the young, promising players will have some reps from the Ole Miss game, the UTSA game, Lamar, Texas State. So I feel good about more depth mid-November.
November the 23rd at Georgia.
Mm-hmm. It's a rough ask. Georgia presumably in the playoff conversation, looking for style points. Texas A&M presents a good opportunity to say, we played this good team and we not laid waste, but we comfortably beat them. And when you're in a conference with Alabama and or LSU, two teams that could be in this conversation, you need to separate when possible. I think Georgia wins this game by 11 points. So we're now at 7-4 with LSU on the road as the decider.
That's right.
With an over-under of 7.5 on the road.
November
After
the 30th.
last year and how wild this game was. 7 overtimes?
Yes.
Into the 70s. That's a tough place to win. I don't have LSU's schedule in front of me to see if there's a body blow potential. I know Alabama's not the week before. So I think I'm going to go Bayou Bengals. Wow. I think I'm going to go with LSU here. Yeah. I think they come in just under
7-5.
I think they're a 9-ish win quality team with Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and Clemson. 3 of the 4 of those on the road.
Tough schedule.
It's tough. 7-5, 9-win team. I think 2020, Kellen Mond will be a senior. A lot of the young Jimbo talent. 3 years of Mike Elko. I think that's when we start threatening double digits.
Tough one.
Double dig.
I have good news though, Dan.
Yeah.
You did it!
Yes!
12 for 12! 7-5. Talk about miraculous, Dan.
Yep.
You've escaped unscathed from your first.
I'm just going to predict every SEC West team at 7-5 to get. I think LSU fans are upset at me for talking about them in the $1 million bets
That's
episode.
Right. That is right. That is correct.
I don't think LSU is going 7-5 or 8-4, but I'm saying money wise, you give me plus money, plus value, I'm going to take it. So that's what I'm saying as of now, as of what we know about Texas A&M.
You are a free man once more.
Mm-hmm.
But you decided that after that first brush with the law, you know how you had that proclivity towards college football?
Yeah.
That love for sticking it to the man?
It. Every day of the year. We do this podcast all year long. Love the sport.
You decide that the only way to get that adrenaline rush you need is to fully steer into a life of crime.
As if I have not already dipped enough into the underworld?
No. You're out for blood now. You are seeking retribution on the entire sport of college football.
Yeah.
And in doing so, you're hatching an Ocean's 11 caliber heist.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to steal one of the game's most precious symbols.
Oh, okay.
A symbol, a mascot, or a relic. What are you planning to steal, and whom do you recruit to help? Other than Stu Mandel, of course.
So you have to, if you are stealing, kidnapping, something like that, which as a show, or at least I can only speak for myself, we do not condone. We do not condone crime.
No.
We do not condone kidnapping. Kidnapping the firstborn of every... No. Your use of relic or symbol, whatever, sparked something in my brain. We're taking down Howard's Rock.
I was going to say Howard's Rock is an option. The Lion Shrine is an option. The Play Like a Champion Today sign, an option. If you want to steal
Tommy Trojan,
the big trees at Toomer's Corner, I mean, they've been through enough, but you could if you really wanted to go there with it.
Yeah.
Howard's Rock.
So I'm going Howard's Rock. And one, Swinney effect. All the money in the world. Swinney effect.
A rock ransom is what you're telling me.
I am holding a rock ransom. They're paying their coordinators like a combined $5 million. They have got cash. And they're getting what? New ACC network cash now. That ESPN Disney coin. So I'm taking down Howard's Rock. But here's the thing. You mentioned mascots. So I'm combining two things. I'm combining mascots and a heist.
Whoa.
And I'm bringing along two mascots to help me with this heist. And what do you need if you're going to dislodge a rock from something?
You're going to need one
equipment.
Of them, you're going to need one of them big old diggers, like a bobcat or a caterpillar, something like that.
You're going to need tools. You're right. We don't, as far as I know, have a mascot that is an excavator.
No.
As far as I know, we don't. It's not the Kansas Tech excavators. But I haven't really gone deep into like the D3 mascots. So I'm bringing along Purdue Pete with his hammer, his mallet, and I'm bringing Pay Dirt Pete with his pickaxe. Wow. Go Miners of UTEP.
This is like one of those Capital One commercials.
they'd never suspect. Like, you bring mascots to a college stadium, you're like, oh, it's some shoot for whoever, for Dan Gilbert's racket. What was it? It's Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah.
One of those. And they'll never, this is a classic stadium, a classic icon and relic. We got mascots here. It's all in good fun. Cover of night, Purdue Pete, Pay Dirt Pete. And then the third, what are we going to do with this rock? We got Big Red with all sorts of room in his tum-tum.
You really did think this through.
Go Hilltoppers. We go Syracuse Orange. I don't know if there's room up the Stanford tree, but I like Big Red. I like involving Big Red in a heist.
You know, you don't even need to do it in the dead of night if you're dressed as a mascot.
That's true.
If you're dressed as a mascot, you can pretty much get in wherever, because who the hell is crazy enough?
One of us is going to have to be a human mascot.
Yeah.
One of us is going to have to be the Mountaineer or the Notre Dame Leprechaun. Not the frog is still got the hat on. One of us needs to be able to breathe air well.
If you go as the Nittany Lion, that'd be perfect.
Oh, what about the Virginia Cavalier or the Masked Rider? Each are on horses.
That would help. That would be helpful.
Escape-wise,
that would be helpful.
That is nice.
You need to think on exits.
Yeah.
But this is good, Dan. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm doing here.
I have more good news.
Oh, yeah?
Your plan was successful.
Oh, my gosh.
You've stolen Howard's Rock. You sold it off. Kind of playing into the Sweeney effect, but...
Yes.
You now have infinite wealth, of course.
Uh-huh.
You're riding high, and you're going to exact more revenge. But this time, you're going Count of Monte Cristo style on Alabama football.
Whoa. The big dog.
They're the big dog. You view Alabama...
I already have Howard's Rock.
You have Howard's Rock, but you're viewing Alabama as the source of all college football evil, because, of course, they're the big bad evil machine. What is now your cold, calculated plan with all your infinite riches to destroy the Crimson Tide from the outside?
So, ending the entire reign of terror and championship excellence of Alabama, right?
Yes.
So, I'm not going to do anything physically harmful. I'm not going to poison players. I'm not going to, lure. I'm not doing any of that.
We're not giving like Saban a polonium sandwich or anything crazy like that.
My answer is a lot realer.
Okay.
Which is weird. And this is either 3 or 3.5 words, depending on if there's a hyphenation involved. It's not a physical war for me. This is not a recruiting war. This is not a financial war. I'm going to do the most damage the way damage is done in 2019. I'm starting an information war, Ty. My 3 or possibly 3.5 to 4 words: Nick Saban deepfakes. Nick Saban deepfakes.
Oh, no.
I'm talking about... So, if you're not familiar... And Ty, you can help me out with this.
I will help you out with this, yes.
Bless you if you're not familiar with deepfakes. But technology is now at the point where if you have enough high-quality video of somebody's face and mannerisms, and you have at least enough of their voice, or you have somebody who sounds close enough that you can sort of edit and warp their voice to sound pretty close to identical, you can mimic actual video of them saying things.
This is terrible.
That never existed. And so terrible. I am FaceTiming recruits. So I'm sending videos to recruits. I'm leaking things to the news media. I'm doing everything to destroy Alabama with Nick Saban deepfakes. The video exists. Look at this. Is Nick Saban saying awful, awful things. This is Nick Saban telling you all of the top 247 recruits that you're trash. We can do better than you. This is him telling assistants who want to work for him. Sorry, filled that.
Just got to plant that seed.
Nick Saban deepfakes. And yes, somebody can use that title for their bowl challenge team come late December. So that's what I'm doing. That feels very effective if doable, right?
Yeah.
Information warfare.
I'm a little afraid someone might actually try it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's possible. I mean, which, not necessarily fan base, but which, I think Auburn has the booster clout and money that it might happen.
We should move
The
along
Mississippi
quickly.
schools would just do it against each other. God, a Joe Moorhead deepfake.
Matt Luke, okay. Daniel.
Yeah.
In your vengeance.
Mm-hmm. Did I describe deepfakes correctly? Is that what they are?
They are.
Okay.
You have inadvertently triggered a college football nuclear winter.
Yeah.
Our friends over at footballscoop.com, they've been talking about this for eons.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Barnett writes it up every year. Now, because of what you've done, half of the coaches in college football, they're on the run, man.
Yeah.
Unintended consequences have
big domino.
Half of college football's coaches looking for new gigs.
Mm-hmm.
What is, in your estimation now, after you've done all this damage, the worst possible coach and program fit that could emerge from this scenario? So again, keep this in mind. College football nuclear winter, go to Football Scoop. Zach Barnett does a really good job. He writes this up every year amid the coaching carousel. What could happen if things really, really went off their rocker, okay? What we're essentially talking about is a ton of openings.
Good Zach reference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A ton of coaches moving around. When the music stops, there's going to be a reasonably high-profile gig out there that is stuck going with a coach.
I think there's going to be a bunch.
A bunch, right?
Yeah.
Stuck going for a coach that they're not really digging. What is that scenario that you think is the worst possible?
Ooh, okay. So at first I didn't take this seriously, and then I took it seriously. So my unserious answers are Hugh Freeze to UNLV. A lot of damage you can do. It's not serious. But did you like that one? I'll stick to Power 5 otherwise.
That's good. I like that.
Also bad and not fully serious, Urban Meyer to Baylor would be very, very bad. That is not a fit. That is not a cultural fit in 2019.
No, not working.
Bad culture fits and just very strange to see and not easy to see working out in the long term. Either Dabo Swinney or Jimbo Fisher to Cal.
Okay, yeah.
Two guys used to a lot of money, going to Cal thinking, oh, Silicon Valley, San Francisco got all this money. The Warriors just built a new blah, blah, blah. Like, Cal's loaded. Nope. Not even close. And then you got the culture clash. You got the shock there. Jimbo Fisher or Dabo to Cal, I think, is not recruiting in San Mateo. No, absolutely not.
I wrote this question with Lane Kiffin to Notre Dame in mind.
I don't think it's as bad as you think.
It's not great, though. Culturally,
here's what Lane
not
Kiffin
a great
will
fit.
do. Here's what he would do at Notre Dame. You would have top 10 to 12 classes, rankings. You'd have a ton of talent. Not too different from where you stand now. You'd probably have better quarterback consistency.
Probably.
Right?
Probably.
That's not the worst position right there to have talent and good quarterback play if you're Notre Dame. And he'd probably hire well enough. And there is something about coaches who have screwed up, but still succeed to whatever extent, which makes me think like...
You're looking at this from the football perspective.
I know I am.
And I'm just saying culturally, there are many among the fan base who would hate his guts.
That's okay.
Right out of the chute.
Though the people in the fan base hate everything and everybody.
Also true. Also very true.
So I don't really care about that much, because if they start going 10-2, 11-1, 12-0 every year, they're going to sound like I just sounded. Well, he's developing quarterbacks and he's bringing in talent, whatever. And he's a new lane. I mean, isn't Catholicism all about forgiveness, Ty?
I don't know if that applies to Lane Kiffin, but...
Okay, that's fine. I don't know anything about Catholicism. There's the asterisk there. My actual worst possible coach program fit is Chip Kelly has a long history, not a long history, but he was very successful at Oregon. I assume if he's at UCLA for a while, he will turn that program into something pretty competitive. He is a good football coach, but he is somebody who does not like sweating the details and responsibilities of being a big-time college football coach, like playing golf with boosters and having separate, just like the whole booster mentality of having to play that game and having to recruit in a way that just feels like a waste of time. So I'm sending him in the worst possible fit to the place with the possible most overwhelming booster culture. That's right. We're sending Chip Kelly to the Plains and Auburn, where just this year, Gus Malzahn, noted pretty good coach. I'm not going to say excellent top of the line, but has taken his team to the national championship, was the coordinator of a national championship team, winning team. Pretty good. Had a rough patch, and stories started trickling out that were like, I think we can swing this $35 million buyout. What? And putting Chip Kelly into that lagoon of piranhas seems like the worst. So that's my answer. Chip Kelly at Auburn.
The second you started talking Chip Kelly, I was thinking Auburn. Honest to God.
Didn't want to deal with it at Florida.
No.
From New Hampshire, spent all of his college career on the West Coast now, his pro career on the coast, sending him to Auburn. I don't know if that works. I don't know if that works out for the best.
Well, this sort of brings me to the end of my character arc.
It's pretty good though, right?
Honestly, yeah, I thought
this is the apocalypse. This is the coaching apocalypse. So now the world, the college football world, Thailand is a wasteland.
It is a wasteland.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, we don't know where college football is headed in 50 years.
The deep fakes will kill us all by
They will kill us all. There is definitely a non-zero chance that at least some of this could actually happen in real life. But
true.
At this point, I didn't write beyond this. Perhaps we can pick up from this point at some other junction here in the college
post-apocalyptic college football world. It would be the road game.
Something like that.
That's a Cormac McCarthy reference.
Anyway, thank you for playing along at home. I have 4 other really quick non-football ones if you're in the mood.
Now is the time. If you're like, that was a weird but kind of fun educational college football path, and all I want to hear about is a weird, fun kind of educational college football path. Now's the time to go. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your download. We love you. Check out Indochino.
The next 12 minutes or so are going to be worth so many 2-star reviews. I can't wait.
That's okay. That's great.
Through a game of chance, you have won entry into a nationally televised singing contest.
Okay.
The catch is this, though. It starts tomorrow night.
Okay.
Your deadline to select a song is midnight tonight, so about 6 hours from now.
Mm-hmm.
On short notice, what song gives you the best chance to avoid elimination? We're not talking winning.
Mm-hmm.
All right? You don't have to be faster than the bear, just faster than your buddy is what we're talking about here.
Yep.
Making it through round 1. Short notice, what are you going with?
So I'm going something performative, right? I'm not going with anything that requires actual technical talent. I'm going with something
I think
that I can act out, and like I'm getting fun points. I'm getting charm points. I'm not necessarily getting pitchy, that kind of thing. So something like Hooked on a Feeling, I think I could do pretty well with.
Yeah. See, my answer here is Super Bass by Nicki Minaj.
You're rapping in a singing competition?
I'm rapping.
Okay.
It's a fun song. Let's get people up out of their chairs. Let's get some clapping along. Let's get people singing lyrics they don't even really know what they are. Super Bass Nicki Minaj is my answer.
Okay. I don't think you're following the spirit or the rules of a singing contest. If you're rapping, that's okay.
She's a recording artist.
Yeah. I mean, so are audiobooks.
Whatever.
That would be great if you went to a singing competition and you were like, I'm going to do Crazy Rich Asians. Crazy. And then you're there for so many hours. I would say Wake Me Up Before You Go. Wham. Power of Love. Huey Lewis and the News. I was looking through Mariah Carey's catalog because she's a musical queen, Ty. And I would... I'm trying to think if I could do the remix or not to what's the God dang it?
Always Be My Baby.
ODB? No. Always Be My Baby is great. It's a great sing along. What am I gonna do?
Those are tough songs to sing, though, man.
She has the 5-octave voice. That's
they've done the scientific studies on her vocal range, and there's like 4 people who are anywhere close to it, and they ain't you.
No, emotions would be very tough. I'm probably at that point doing, it's fantasy, right? I'll do fantasy. I will do fantasy without the falsetto. And I'll have to do Wake Me Up Before You Go if I choose that without the... Actually, that wasn't bad.
That wasn't bad. No, that was okay.
But like, yes, I would lean into like a jitterbug. I would just like, I need this guy on my stage, not because he is changing the musical landscape, but because he is just bringing a little bit of charm that wasn't here before.
Give me that boom, 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 boom bass.
Yeah, that's a terrible answer. You can think on that for the next show, an actual sung song.
Question 2. If you were somehow a secret prodigy, think Happy Gilmore with this. In a sport or in any discipline for that matter.
Right.
In what do you think it would be?
So I was a little confused by this. So when you say secret prodigy, so Happy Gilmore was not a secret golf prodigy, but his hockey background and his general attitude that differed from the stodgy golf world is what propelled him to success. He had a coach who trained him.
Here's what I'm thinking of with this, okay?
What would I have like a propensity for?
Here's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
You and I both played sports in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going too far when I say that neither one of us were world-class athletes.
Right.
But in the back of your head, clearly there are other sports that you didn't play. And did you ever wonder to yourself, wow, maybe I'd be like a Premier League soccer player if I decided to take that up?
Nope.
Or maybe if I learned how to play Call of Duty, I'd be elite, world-class, and a professional gamer.
See, I almost think it's a better question of what is the absolute positive least likely, if you live your life 1,000 times in 1,000 different universes, this will happen in the fewest. For me, it would be platform diving. It just would never happen for me. There is no version of Dan Rubenstein, whatever universe we're living in, that is going to succeed on a 10 meter, whatever it is. That's the least likely. Like there are ways I can talk myself into like, well, I'm 6'1", maybe I'll develop instincts to be a goalie on a pitch, on a soccer pitch. There was ways that I could see myself doing something. Wrestling, probably not, but it's more likely than platform diving.
I guess I'm asking if you have a secret talent. You don't know about it. That's why it's a secret.
So my 2-prong answer is table tennis.
Okay. Well, I've played you and beaten you 3-1.
Yes, you have. But if I trained, I have the tennis coordination. I would really give my all for table tennis because I just love the sport. And with my tennis background, that's not a terrible answer. You have the
goggles too.
I do have my goggles, so my vision is better. Yeah. Here is the second prong, which I only recently discovered. I have a hidden connection to the table tennis world.
Oh?
So the whatever you want to call it, the Chris Fowler, the Gus Johnson, the Joe Buck, whatever. The voice of table tennis is somebody I kind of know and went to high school with. It's been a long time since I've had a conversation with him, and now he lives in Taiwan because obviously.
Clearly.
But shout out to Adam Bobrow, Bobrow, and he went to USC. He is an excellent table tennis player, but he is also the voice of international table tennis. Like, he speaks Mandarin. He is the guy in that world, which I admire. If you can be the guy or the gal, whatever, in a field, no matter how big, small, emerging, whatever, it's pretty impressive.
Hell yeah.
So I have an in that universe, potentially. He grew up pretty close to where my parents grew up. I have an in there. Adam Bobrow. Shout out to an incredible, incredible life lived to become the international voice of table tennis. That's my answer because of that in. To get training, to get exposure, get in front of world-class players who can lead me and guide me. That's my answer.
Question 3.
Okay. Do you have an answer, by the way? You can answer these as well.
I don't.
Okay, because you had super bass.
Maybe golf if I really focused on it when I was younger.
God. No, you said sport.
What is the most complex subject you have discussed with your newborn son?
So, the solid baby is almost 4 months old at the time of this recording.
What are you talking to him about? You having the birds and the bees discussion yet?
No, when he was younger, when he was really new, I would just talk to him while feeding him about just whatever to keep myself awake.
That's right.
In the middle of the night. And so we talked a little bit about dating and protocol and manners. Mm-hmm. I talked a little bit to him, and it's very strange because as I walk back and forth to the office I work at, I pass a couple of schools and like karate class, stuff where little kids are gathered. And you look around and you're like, oh man, little man could look like that when he's 4 or that when he's 7. And you see like kids interacting on a schoolyard, whatever. And it fills up your brain. So I've talked to him too about how to just behave as, a kid, treat people well, don't be mean to people if they weren't bad to you, and just like golden rule type stuff I've talked to him about. Mostly he just spits up in response to everything I say. But it's a very real, like when you walk by the kids all the time, you're like, oh man, is he going to do karate? Is he going to ride? What are we going to do about bikes? So I've had conversations about him of being like the nice, cool kid, not like the smoking in the bathroom cool kid,
right?
But the like, oh, he's friends with, these kinds of kids and those kinds of kids and whatever. He's the one who like somebody's picking on another kid and the solid baby goes in and says, you know what, why are we doing this? Come on.
Cracks a joke.
So that's what I've been trying to ingrain in him. That's the most serious, complex subject that we've talked about.
In your deepest, darkest, most frustrated state in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Have you considered talking to him about advanced baseball statistics like WAR or VORP or anything like that?
Oh, to just put him to sleep?
Yeah.
No, but I've talked about the opposite when was super frustrated when he was yelling at me, which I consider yelling because he was like 6 weeks old and just wouldn't stop crying. It was mostly my fault. Just like I sang him a song about your mom and I could have been in Barcelona if we decided not to have children, and decided to guilt him at 6 weeks that we weren't, Jody with an I and I were not in Barcelona. But no, have not done baseball stats yet. Trying to save that until later on when he's really tired for the sleep regression period.
And here is my final question before I let
Final
you
question.
Go. What is your most controversial opinion or belief?
I gave this a lot of thought because I didn't want to give you something light.
You don't want to turn people off either, because there's always that tendency when you ask a question like this.
Yeah, people from X state are all blank. No, come on. I'm not doing that. Here's my most controversial opinion or belief, which I feel more strongly about now that I am a father, Tyler. Allow me to elaborate, but I'm going to give you the headline first. Technology, in general, is a net negative and has ruined everything.
Whoa. Okay, so you have foreshadowed this answer.
Yeah.
For many years, we've talked about social media being secret trash or secret garbage, excuse me.
Yeah.
To what end technology?
Everything. Basically everything. I mean, I courted my wife texting, and, I met you via the internet. Like, there's a lot of my life that is thanks to technology. So I think there's a lot of positive.
Would not exist.
Podcasting is a net positive.
Okay.
I am a big fan of podcasting just in general. I am a big fan of information being available to us at our fingertips, music, media, whatever. But the degree to which I'm so old, by the way, Ty, I am very so old.
You're getting older by the second.
But like, when you see kids that are just sort of zombies with iPads, and when I instinctually, I'll just like pull out my phone and like open Instagram, and like that's just muscle memory. I don't even care about Instagram. It's just there. Like, there are certain things, like I don't read as many books as I used to. I should be outside exploring a lot more often, and like I want to ingrain that in the solid baby, that kind of stuff. And so, like, I don't want the solid baby to be like cyberbullied. Like, there's just like so much trash that technology has brought to the world, that technology culture to me is trash. Like, there's just so much that's just awful about it, that if we regressed into a place where, do you have any friends, or maybe you've said this or family members have said this, where they're like, oh my God, so-and-so called me. Like, why not just text me? You're just like, wait, what? You can't handle a phone call? You can't speak to somebody on the phone?
I've had this conversation multiple times with Mama H.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone, people. Like, that drives me nuts. That people don't have like a face-to-face ability. I am 1,000 years old. But that is like a big thing for me. That like people spend, and I am at the top of this list, so much time wasting my life just looking at screens, where I think it's a net negative for sure.
Imagine a world.
Be better off as a people. Yeah.
Imagine a world with no Blue Yeti.
Well, that's fine.
What I'm taking away from this.
That's totally fine. But yes, that is my net negative.
Wow.
And that's my take.
I feel like I learned a lot about you, and I told you on GChat before we connected up here this evening.
Mm-hmm.
My goal was to get one, if only one, single solitary Dan Rubenstein tier. Be honest, did I get one from you?
Not a tier, but like when I talk about my son, of course, like get a little emotional. He's my dude.
The register going up a little bit there. I hear it. I hear it in your voice. You took this very
Technology,
seriously. And I feel horrible that I required so much homework for this episode, but I feel
I had a blast doing it.
I feel like we really covered some ground here.
On the technology note as well, it's the best thing ever. And I know you have a lot of like little cousins and friends have kids and everything like that. When you come across a kid who's just like not into phones or the internet, and one of Jody's cousins is, I don't know, 13 or 14, and she was on Instagram and she just stopped doing it. She was like, this is stupid. People do stupid things on here. And now I'm positive that girl Courtney is going to one day lead us all against the aliens. She is the smartest and best of us. So that's what I'm hopeful for, that kids are much smarter than this stupid generation that we're in. And they're like, yeah, this is all stupid. Let's go jump in
Stick to Legos, man.
Yeah, Legos rule.
All right.
That's it.
Email us, solidverbal@gmail.com. Check out the website, solidverbal.com. Check us out. An awkward transition.
Learn to cook. Make an enchilada.
Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
No. You can do that if you want. There's good stuff on there. The Solid Verbal's presence on social media is pristine.
Look for our Nick Saban deepfakes coming to
that is problematic.
An internet near you.
That is deeply problematic.
You tied this all up in a very nice little bow, Dan.
Hey, my pleasure.
We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Reach on out. Sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already at solidverbal.com. Big old form.
Shout out Adam Bobrow.
For that guy over there, my good friend Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand over here. We will be back next week. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your week, all of your weekend, and as always, stay solid.
Peace.